It is never too early to start creating your own handmade ornaments so they are ready to go when it's time to do your festive decorating. I want to welcome you here to the Cozy Christmas Cottage, and in today's video I have 30 simple and affordable holiday ornaments. I'm going to show you how easy it is to DIY. Up first is a Santa themed ornament, and we're starting with a clear plastic ornament from Dollar Tree, and I stuffed it full of some red tissue paper. That's going to give it a really nice textured look. And then for the belt, I cut down some black grosgrain ribbon. And then of course we needed to create the little Santa belt. So this is some gold felt that I had on hand that I cut a square out of, and then cut another smaller square out of the center to create his buckle. And then I just used some hot glue to attach it onto the ornament. If you enjoy creating your own handmade ornaments, give me one of those Christmas tree emojis down in the comments below. I always make new ones for our tree every single year, and this one is so quick and easy to make that you can make several of these at one time and kind of pump them out so you have several for a themed Santa Christmas tree. I just added a little bit of ribbon to the top so that it would hang from the branches. Now for a Grinchy themed ornament, another clear ornament project. I'm filling this one with some green pom-poms in different sizes and a little bit different shades of green too, which gives it a really fun Grinchy fur effect. And then to add the heart onto the front, I just used a small paintbrush and painted on a heart with some red acrylic paint. If you love snowmen, then this is a super cute and fun take on this. Again, with the Dollar Tree clear ornament, I added a little paper funnel into the top so that I could throw in some white seed beads. We're gonna make all of the elements of a little snowman and add those in there. A little tip is to use some tweezers so you can set them down there nicely and kind of where you want them. I have some black pom-poms for the little buttons. I cut some felt into a triangle for his nose and tied up some ribbon into the shape of a scarf, and also used some pipe cleaners to twist up his little arms. And if you're looking for even more adorable and beautiful snowman projects, I have a full video dedicated to these cute little guys. Most of these projects will be great all winter long too, not just for Christmas time. I'll make sure to have that video linked down below for you. This ornament is made with everything you can find at the Dollar Tree. It is so pretty, and you're going to need a dowel rod, and we're going to cut it down to about 1/4 of an inch long. So these are pretty small pieces, and the reason we're doing this is we are going to add these to the bottom of some Dollar Tree miniature bottle brush trees and add these to the ornaments, but we need to add a little bit of height, so that's what we're doing with these dowel rods. So I hot glued the dowel rods to the bottoms of the trees and then use some tweezers, which help me get those trees into the inside of the ornament, and press those down. So it's going to keep our trees in place, but it's also going to raise them up a little bit because we're also going to add some Epsom salt into the bottom of the ornament. That's going to give it a pretty glistening, snowy effect. Dollar Tree definitely has the best prices when it comes to clear Ornaments. They have them in two sizes. They have a smaller size and this size, which is the larger size. But you can also find these year-round in the craft stores. Even Hobby Lobby has them in a section with glass ones and plastic ones, so you have them year-round whenever you need them. Keepsake ornaments are my favorite thing to put on Christmas trees, and this one is very sentimental to us as it has sand in the bottom with some seashells on top that are from our honeymoon. So if you've had a beach vacation, this is a great way to bring out some of those memories during the holidays. And all I did was add the sand and the seashells, and then to the top, instead of ribbon, I'm using some jute to give it more of a nautical look. Glitter ornaments are super popular, especially with these clear ornaments. So I want to show you how simple it is to create this using some polyacrylic, which is just a clear acrylic that is going to act as our adhesive. I funneled some into my clear ornament and just spun it around to coat the sides, and then dripped out as much of the excess as I could, and then put it into a plastic cup to sit for about an hour. That's going to give all the excess poly some time to drip out. It'll coat the inside, but it won't be completely dry. Now at this point, we're going to add a funnel, a different funnel. This one you don't want to have any of the poly in, and we're going to funnel in some glitter, and we're going to cover up that hole with a rag or a paper towel, and we're going to shake our ornament to cover up all of the inside. I'm also going to dump out some of the excess glitter so that we can reuse that for another project. And then you just want to let this sit overnight before you add the top back on and embellish. And what I love most about these ornaments is that the mess is contained on the inside, so you don't have glitter kind of bouncing off the ornament all over your decor. Now is a great time to actually add your embellishments to your ornament. So this is a fun thing that we do every year. My little guy's still pretty small, so we put a Santa cam on our tree. It kind of is like Santa can spy in on him to make sure he is being good. So I'm just adding this decal right onto the front, and you of course can embellish your glitter ornaments however you want. You can put gold glitter in and make them very fancy. You can add ribbons and embellishments to them, but I think this is such a fun thing, especially if you have little ones. You can also Mod Podge on ornaments, and you don't necessarily have to have a clear ornament for this project, but that's what I'll be using here. I have some old vintagey type sheet music that I found on eBay and just cut it out so I didn't have a border, and then cut that into strips. Now, if you don't want to order anything, you can always go and Google search and print some off on some cream colored paper, or even tea stain some paper to create that vintage look. All I did was apply a little bit of Mod Podge onto my ornament in sections, and then wrapped the paper from top to bottom and trimmed it down to size. So I didn't want too much paper as it will get kind of bulky. So I worked in sections and then made sure to put some more Mod Podge on top of my music paper to seal that all in. Now you definitely want to let this sit overnight before you actually use it and add your ribbon and the top onto this, but it is so pretty on your Christmas tree. The next one I also just love because it is so colorful and it gives it kind of a stained glass look. I'm using some alcohol inks that I got from Amazon. I'll make sure to link any of some of the supplies that I can find down in the description box to kind of save you some time hunting them down on your own. These alcohol inks come in lots of different colors. This one came in a set of 3. So I started by kind of doing some experimenting and dropping all 3 of the colors in at one time. And then I'm using a can of air to kind of disperse the ink around. It also kind of helps it swirl and make new colors. And you can also use a straw and just blow into the straw to get that air moving in there, so that's an option too. But I really liked how it was looking when I just did one color at a time and then use the air to kind of move it around. So you'll get different looks depending on the technique that you use, and of course they all come out unique depending on the colors and how you do it. So this one was so pretty. I just think it is another one of those things you can really personalize. Next is a snowman. Now I'm not gonna lie, I told myself I would never use these styrofoam balls from Dollar Tree, but I thought they would be really cute to make this snowman ornament. Just be prepared. Definitely is a mess because they static cling to everything, but if you want this look, you can still totally do it. Just make sure to have a vacuum handy. So once I got all of those styrofoam beads in, I'm gonna start by painting and drawing on a snowman face. I used some chalk paint and also a acrylic marker to create the eyes and little dots for the mouth. Of course, adding some fun ribbon to the top to finish it off. Now we're going to step away from the clear ornaments and do some wood type ornaments. This is some scrap underlayment that I had, but you can get balsa wood from craft stores. It's very easy to cut down. You can use a handsaw and miter box, which I will show you here shortly. I have a miter saw, so that's what I'm going to use to cut mine down, just because I wanted to make several, and this is going to make my process go a little bit faster. But if you're needing cut down, you can also even take it to the hardware store or purchase it from the hardware store, and they can help you cut these down. So I just have some small rectangles here, and I wanted them to look like little houses, so I did pull out my handsaw and miter box. You can find these on Amazon. They're only about $10, totally affordable. Again, I'll link mine that I use down below. And I'm finding the center point of the shorter side of my rectangle, and I'm putting my miter saw at that 45-degree angle, lining it up with that middle mark. So you can see we're basically going to cut off the corner of this piece. You just make sure to put something down on your countertop to protect it and saw away. It's really simple. It goes really quickly, and then you flip it over and repeat the process on the other side, making sure that your point is lined up, and that will cut off the same size triangle so your roof is the same. So of course these are going to be ornaments, so I took my drill and drilled a hole into the point of each one of the roofs. Now our edges are kind of rough, so I'm using a sanding block, which you can get at Dollar Tree too, and just sanding the front, back, all of the sides, and even where that hole was drilled to make sure it was completely smoothed down. Now we are going to give this sort of a faux stained look. I'm using traditional burnt umber acrylic paint for this, and just using a foam paintbrush to apply it to both sides of my little houses. I wanted my roofs to stand out a little more, so we're going to define them with some white chalk paint. I'm taping off the edges of the roof with some painter's tape and then painting the houses white. So our roofs ultimately will be that brown color and our houses will be white. And then so we add a little bit of that Christmassy touch. I'm adding some of this garland that I picked up at Walmart in their floral section. I'm gonna make little mini wreaths with this as it's on wire, so you can just twist it into a circle and then hot glue your little mini wreath onto the front. Here's another fun farmhousey style ornament. I had some leftover kind of scrap beadboard from another project that I cut down into rectangles again using my miter saw, but again, this is something you can get really inexpensively at the hardware store and cut it down with a handsaw if you want. I just kind of gauged about size. I wasn't specific or perfect about it, just kind of about the same size on all of these. Now you can see they're kind of roughed up from the saw and they're just primed, so I did want them to be completely white, so I went back in with my white chalk paint and gave them a couple coats. Now I'm going to be drilling holes into the top of these, and I definitely wish I would have drilled the holes before I painted them, because then I wouldn't kind of have like a messy look. But it actually it wasn't too bad, because I was still going for kind of a rustic look or that farmhouse look, so I didn't go back in and touch it up, but you could if you forget to do this part like I did. And then I'm going to be adding some decals onto the front of these. These are just decals. I cut them out with my vinyl machine in the font The Skinny and kind of plumped them up and bolded them so they would be a little bit more thick whenever you see them. I didn't want them to kind of look too skinny on there, and just applied each one of those onto the front. Now, of course, if you don't have a vinyl machine, you can just use, say, like a fine tipped Sharpie marker and write your own words onto your ornaments. Then to keep with that rustic look, I'm going to use jute to hang these from instead of ribbon. So not only do these ornaments turn out really, really cute, they're actually really fun to make. We're going to be using some air dry clay. You can find this at Walmart. It's under $5 and it would make a ton of ornaments because you get quite a bit. You want to start with some very clean hands and surface because we're using white. So it's very easy for your hand oils to discolor this. So just make sure everything is really clean, including your cookie cutters and your rolling pin. I had this extra piece of wood. I didn't actually have a rolling pin. So use a cup or whatever you have to flatten this out. We're basically gonna make cookies, but with clay. So I have some white clay, just rolling it out. I am leaving it kind of thick because this isn't clay that's gonna plump up. It's gonna stay the same thickness that we roll it out. I'm using some miniature Christmas cookie cutters to create my shapes, and then made sure to also punch a hole in the top of these. We're not baking them, so they're not gonna get super hard like bake clay that you can buy. You can buy, I think it's called Sculpey, and you actually put it in the oven. You could do this with Sculpey, but we're using air dry clay here. So I'm using the back of a paintbrush to punch some holes in the top, and I just let these sit overnight so that they could cure all the way. And then to hang them, I'm using some red and white baker's twine. I'll link the kind that I use down in the description box below. I love baker's twine at Christmas time because obviously it looks like a candy cane, but it's great year round too for Valentine's Day and even 4th of July, birthdays. So it's a good craft item to kind of keep on hand. Fun to hang your ornaments with too. Now we're going to use some clothespins. You can get a pack of 36 of these for $1 at Dollar Tree, so you can make lots of snowflakes with one pack because we're only going to need 6 of these to start to make one. So I've taken the metal parts off of all of these clothespins, and using some hot glue I am gluing the back sides that are flat together. So I'll have 6 of these total. Once I have all of these glued together, then we're gonna start putting them in that snowflake shape and butting those rounded edges together, gluing them with lots of hot glue so that they stay together. Now I did go ahead and paint mine white with some white chalk paint, but I think this would be cute if you left them, or even if you use some wood stain to give them a wood tone look. So this is one of the ornaments I've actually made about 3 dozen of and put on our Christmas tree, and it looked so, so cute. But I think these would be great in garlands or even on wreaths, and a fun project kiddos can make too. Next is a wood slice reindeer. You can find these wood slices in a bag at Hobby Lobby for very, very cheap. And I'm using some brown pipe cleaners. I have a little mini red pom-pom and also a Sharpie to create this reindeer. So I'm starting by adding his little pom-pom nose onto the center with some hot glue, and then using that marker to create his eyes and his little mouth, and cutting those pipe cleaners down to create his antlers. And then I'll just glue these onto the back, and it's just that simple. Staying on the reindeer theme, I remember making these little candy canes when I was a kid in Girl Scouts, so I thought it'd be fun to recreate for a ornament project. I have pipe cleaners and pom-poms and wiggly eyes, and we're gonna twist a brown pipe cleaner onto the top of our candy cane and also create some twirly antlers this time using a pencil to create that spiral effect. Hot glue a little pom-pom onto the nose or for the nose, add some wiggly eyes, and you're good to go. You could definitely make tons of these for a fun reindeer themed Christmas tree or even give them out as gifts. And here's a little bit more classy way to create some reindeer ornaments, kind of Raydun or farmhouse style. So these are the smaller sized clear ornaments from Dollar Tree that you get 2 in a pack for $1, so they're only 50 cents each, which is a great deal. I've set a couple pencils into some styrofoam so that I can paint these ornaments with some white chalk paint and then put them onto those pencils to dry so they aren't rolling around on paper and you're kind of getting those spots that stick to the paper, if that makes sense. And I did do a couple coats of this white chalk paint on there to make sure it had good coverage and you couldn't see through them. Then for the fronts, I'm adding some of those vinyl decals. I also had some in the reindeer's names. You could do a set of all the reindeer, which would be really cute. And then just tied off some cute bows, hot glued those onto the front, and just got some really classy ornaments that are so pretty. I love working with wood beads too because they are very affordable. I put a bunch into a pie pan. I had bought a set that was different sizes. This helped me like pick out the different sizes that I needed. And I strung them onto some floral wire and then twisted the ends together to create a wreath. So one I did 2 sizes and the other one I did all the same size just so you could see the differences in styles that you could create. And then just hung them with some jute to create the ornament. And since I had so many different wood beads, I thought it'd be fun to create kind of a series on these. So I'm using some jute and threading it onto a pretty thick needle. It's not too thick that it won't go through the wood beads, but it has a wide enough eye that you can put jute through it. You can find these at Walmart or craft stores in their sewing sections. And I just added 3 different sizes of the wood beads onto it to kind of create a pattern and make these really pretty drop ornaments. Then I just tied off the top with a loop to make a hanger. And again, you can get creative with these and paint the beads or stain the beads so you can get different looks. Tassels are really popular right now. So I'm going to show you how to make one and also turn it into an ornament. So I'm using a tassel maker for this. You can also use a piece of cardboard. I'll link the tassel maker that I'm using down in the description box though, because it actually is kind of helpful to create lots of them if you are needing to create many of them. And I'm just kind of following the directions of the tassel maker to create this. I do have a video on how to use this on my other channel, the Daily DIY. wire, and I'll make sure to link that down in the description box below. But once I had my tassel made, I wanted to add some of those wood beads to the top. This really makes it kind of a statement. And you can also use different thicknesses of yarn to get different tassel looks too. Keeping with the wood bead theme, we're gonna make some wood bead snowman ornaments. These first ones are huge wood beads. They are 1.5 inch size that I got from Amazon. I'll link those down below too. I put 3 onto some jute, tied on some ribbon to create his scarf, and then drew on his face to give him the little snowman face. I thought it'd be fun to try this in smaller sized wood beads too, so I also made a set that is only 1 inch size beads. Now let's make a little angel out of some ribbon and a wood bead. So this ribbon is from Hobby Lobby. It's kind of a pretty burlap ribbon that also has a red stripe in it, which made me think of Christmas. So what I did is I glued the ends of a loop together and then squished the top and added some burlap or some jute to tie it into place. This is also going to hold our bead in place. I'm using a 1 inch size bead for this to create the head of the angel, and also the loop at the top so that we can hang our ornament. I did use a little bit of hot glue to make sure my bead wouldn't wiggle around. And then we need to make the wings. So I'm making a circle and basically a bow tie bow out of the ribbon. So I just made a loop, hot glued my ends together, and then cinched the center. So kind of found the center, put the centers together, and then folded the center and tied it up with some jute to hold it into place, and then hot glued that onto the back of the ornament. And then the only other thing that I did was create a loop or a circle out of the jute and added that onto the top of the angel's head. This paintbrush snowman would be so cute on a Christmas tree as an ornament. These paintbrushes you can get 2 for $1 at Dollar Tree, and I'm painting the wood handle out red first. That is going to be his little hat. And then I also painted a wood bead red for his nose. So after that, I just needed to cut a little bit of felt to cover up the metal part of the handle of the paintbrush to kind of make the fluff of the Santa hat, and used my paintbrush as a guide for sizing before hot gluing it onto the front. I did leave a little bit of that metal part showing at the bottom because I'm going to be adding some little eyes right there. So I used a marker to draw his, or I'm sorry, paint, not a marker, paint to make his little eyes, and then hot glued on his red nose. another fun wood slice ornament idea. I'm gonna be turning this guy into Santa Claus. So the bottom half, I am painting half a circle with white chalk paint. This is gonna be his little beard at the bottom. And then I needed to kind of make a wiggly line at the top for the fluff of his hat. I did have to remove the jute that came with this ornament so that I didn't get any paint on it, because we're going to be adding some red paint to the top and creating another half circle for the top of Santa's hat. And then to add his little details, once the paint was dry, I added his little eyes with a marker, his nose with a marker, and then hot glued on a red pom-pom for his nose and re-added jute to hang it as an ornament. Now we're going to turn some Dollar Tree tea lights into some cute snowman ornaments. The main thing about this is to paint the flame of the tea light orange so that he has his little carrot nose. And then you can get so creative with this. I used a marker to create the eyes and mouth, and then different embellishments to give them accessories. So some yarn and some pom-poms to create some earmuffs, and some ribbon for a scarf. And even one of my little guys, I did not paint his nose orange so I could turn him into Santa Claus. So just get creative and use whatever supplies you have on hand to make some cute snowman accessories. This is one of my favorites. It is a pine cone snowman. I have one of those large 1.5 inch size beads for his head, and also some pine cones that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm painting both of those white so they of course look snowy like a snowman. And we're gonna be attaching this together with some hot glue. I'm running my red and white twisted together yarn up through the bead so that I can create his head. It's also gonna give me something to hang it from, and it's also gonna give me a place to attach the bead onto the pine cone. For the embellishments, I'm using some ribbon for his scarf. I drew on his face onto the bead and used some pipe cleaners to create his hands and arms. And besides the Grinch and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I have a couple ornaments that are Christmas movie themed. I just put up a video on movie themed DIY, so I'll make sure to link that video down below too. This was the elf themed ornament, so I cut out some vinyl in different colors and applied it onto a clear ornament. I love this movie, and this is such a silly thing, and you'll see here in just a minute how I also embellish the ornament, but I'm just adding each one of these words onto my clear ornament one at a time. I did use the center of a roll of ribbon to kind of help me stabilize my ornament so it didn't go rolling all over the place. And you'll see I'm just adding the decals in the different colors one at a time. And then to keep with the elf theme and the cotton-headed ninny muggins, I am adding some cotton balls into my clear ornament. These were small cotton balls, but they were still too big to put into my ornament. So I had to pull them apart in halves and then kind of roll them back up into little miniature cotton balls to get them to fit inside of there, and just did that until it was full. Charlie Brown Christmas is another one of our family favorites. I'm gonna transform a light bulb into Snoopy. So we're gonna make his ears first with some black felt. I'm gonna be cutting his ears at the same time. So they're both the same size and the same shape. And I'm basically making sort of an elongated teardrop shape with the flat top, and then hot gluing the ears onto the sides of this light bulb. We also need to create his hat. I'm gonna make it Santa Claus style. So I'm using an old red t-shirt that I had for the fabric and cut a triangle out of that and wrapped that around the metal part of the light bulb, and then hot glued up the back side to create that cone shape. I also folded it over so that it would kind of stick down onto the side, which I'll show you in just a minute. It's not gonna stay this tall. And then use some green ribbon around the base to kind of cover up that cut edge of the fabric and also give it a little bit more interest. So that's where I had hot glued down the side of the hat and added a green pom-pom. I'm also using a black acrylic marker to draw on the Snoopy face. I will also link these markers down below. You can find them on Amazon too. And it was just that easy to create little Snoopy guy. You can also hot glue on a loop of ribbon on the back to hang him from the tree. I'd love to know which one of the 3 Home Alone movies was your favorite. Mine was just the first one, the original. It's probably in order. The first one, and then the second one, and then the third one, kind of in that order. So I thought it'd be fun to make an ornament to go with this movie. This is a decal. I purchased this design on Etsy. I will link those down below too. And I'm just applying the decal onto the front of this old house ceramic ornament that I had from Hobby Lobby to create McAllister's home security ornament. I thought it was so cute and fun. Next is probably the most easy ornament of all, and that is just to hang some candy canes. You could do it without ribbon like I'm going to show here. You could just put your candy canes straight onto your Christmas tree, which I would love to hear if you still do that. I know that's some traditions of some of my family and friends to always have the real candy canes on the Christmas tree. But this way we're gonna add some little ribbon loops so our candy canes hang off the loops, and then you can kind of see the full candy cane a little better this way. and you kind of tuck that ribbon around the branches. You'll also see that you can use this in other places besides just your Christmas tree. I added these onto my faux mantle, which I have a tutorial on how you can create your own mantle for about $25 and a little bit of elbow grease. If you want to see that, I'll link that video down below too. If you don't have a real fireplace or a real mantle in your home, this is a great alternative, and these candy canes look so cute hanging off of it. It's simple yet elegant. I would love to know which one of these ornaments was your favorite. You can leave those down in the comments below for me. Also, make sure to subscribe so you can come back here to the Cozy Christmas Cottage for more DIYs and holiday inspiration throughout the rest of the year. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy holidays!